Il y a une tension sociale.
Special political situation.
Yes, we've been in government, we've been in opposition, like...
We need the truth to restore trust.
My name is Simion.
I wish to remember all of you.
Ce fac eu?
Vină cu mine, nu fac nimic.
Cum am ajuns aici?
A fost amendat, a făcut închisoare și apoi a mai fost condamnat încă o dată, chiar dacă în lipsă. Omul din fața mea este unul dintre zecile de jurnaliști ruși care au ales să lupte pentru adevăr, deci împotriva dictaturii lui Vladimir Putin. L-am chemat aici ca să ne vorbească despre ce înseamnă un regim autoritar și cât de aproape e România de acest scenariu. Ilya Azar, thank you for coming here in Romania and thank you for this talk.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. Hello.
You're a foreign agent, so I've read. What does this mean to you?
Well, actually, it happened only in February this year. So I must say that I was like annoyed that I'm not a foreign agent yet till this February, because I don't know, there are 500 of foreign agents, physical foreign agents, and 500 more of like companies or media or whatever organizations, NGOs, foreign agents, but physically 500 people. So mostly they're journalists, politicians, activists, and NGO leaders. So, well, not being on that list till February 2025 was a strange thing. So, well, somebody could ask even, aren't you Putin's agent? Well, if you are not a foreign agent, then whose agent you are?
You must be an agent.
Yeah, well, that's a joke, but still. But on the other hand, this is not just a label or not just a joke. Yeah, it's a not very pleasant thing for those who stay in Russia, and there are some, I don't know, maybe 50, maybe less people, foreign agents who stays in Russia. They have a very serious problems because of that. I have like few friends. For example, my friend, he was a member of local district Moscow parliament, the same as me, and he's staying there, but he cannot find any job because nobody will hire a foreign agent, even though it is not prohibited to hire a foreign agent. Nobody wants to have that kind of people in their company. So it's extremely even it's hard to exist because this year they introduced a new law that all the money which you get not from your like ordinary job, which you cannot find, but from, I don't know, writing an article for some media, like an opinion, or I don't know, making a lecture, giving a lecture to somewhere in the institute, I don't know. All this money will go to the special bank account, which were made for foreign agents by the banks, but they were forced by the authorities to do that. And this money are blocked. You cannot use it before. Only you can use it only then you stop being a foreign agent. Which there are no precedents. Only maybe 4 or 3 precedents that person lost this status. But mostly you keep it. I think most of these people and me also will keep the status till the Putin's death. So it's even hard to exist in Russia. But even here, if you are in exile, there are some problems like every foreign agent should put the special announcement on all their activities, online activities. Like, for example, if you post a cat in your Facebook, you must say that this material is made by foreign agent Ilya Azar. If you don't do it, then in I don't know, in months, in half of the year, nobody knows exactly, you will get first fine for not doing that, and if you continue not to do that, you'll get a criminal case. I don't remember, maybe 4 or 5 years, but it doesn't matter if you're living in exile. But this is a thing. After that, they can open after the court. They will, I don't remember the word, but they will search for you, and they will send this information to the other countries that this person is being prosecuted, and you need to deport him to Russia. And so that is for journalists, for example, making it's impossible or at least very risky to travel to Turkey, Serbia, or whatever countries are not in the Europe, maybe not European Union, but Schengen states. So it basically really bad status.
This is your case because you've been fined with 60,000 rubles for discrediting the Russian army.
But that's another story. I mean, this doesn't go anything with the foreign agent status. This is another story. And there is another status of unwanted organization, and now there is a criminal case. They opened the criminal case against me because I'm a part of an unwanted organization, which is not a foreign agent. This is another story, but which is also they just name the NGO the unwanted in Russia. And after that, if you just like continue to be associated with it, even if you're not work, but somehow you're associated with them, you got also 5-6 years in jail. So that's the case. I mean, this in my case, this will be sooner than the foreign agents criminal case, but that will be also.
And you've spent some time in jail with this case?
No, all of this it happened this year.
I've read that in May 2020 you've been arrested and jailed for 15 days.
Yeah.
For breaking protest laws during a protest.
This is another story. You mentioned this. This is for breaking laws of the protesting demonstration law. We can talk about that also, but I'm starting to feel as strange thing. Well, telling you about all my deeds, but still, that was another case. That's what I explained to one Romanian journalist yesterday, and he was really, I don't know, maybe surprised that I explained to him why are not Russians protesting in a big, massive way against the war, because right after Crimea, the demonstration, Crimea annexation, the demonstration laws changed. Before that, it was like 10 euros fine for doing it, for protesting without noticing, without saying to the authorities that you are going to do it. Just when you go spontaneously on the streets, you got 10 euros, but after that it became, I think, like a 1,000 maybe. No, few hundreds of euro. But if you do it like the second time in a year, then there is a fine of 3,000 euros or more, which is really big sum for Romanians, I think also, but for Russians for sure, especially if you are not living in Moscow. And I got, for example, that kind of fine of 3,000 or 4,000 euros, but as a rather well-known journalist, I crowdfunded in Facebook really for an hour. This was a kind of great sign of solidarity and that kind of stuff, but still the people who has not any connections with journalists or with the civic society, they really don't want to risk that to get such big fines. Nevertheless, also they can. I was in jail. It's not a jail actually. It's I'm not sure you have it in Romania. It is mostly used for drunk drivers. Then you are caught with drunk driving, you are getting into this facility for 10-15 days or maybe less in the case of drunk drivers. And also the political people who somehow made something this with demonstration, they go there also. But this is not a jail, in case you know the Russian jails. Maybe Romania also is a very special place. That there are special, not laws, but special. I don't know. It's in Russian. It's called понятие, but I'm not sure I can translate that. Then, if you touch something, there are some people like in Indian caste system. There are people who are very down level. So if you eat from their plate, then you're becoming the same as them, and nobody will touch you, speak with you. I mean, this is and you may be harassed by you understand, a sexual way. So that's jail that I was. There is no such things. It's just a place. There police is holding you. You cannot go away for sure, but you just. I actually read like 7 thick books, which I never have an opportunity to read it when I'm not there. So I even liked it, and you can speak with people which you rarely encounter in your ordinary life. Because, for example, the one guy who was with me for 10 days there was a person who served 25 years in prison. He was a killer, actually, but he got there because he was a drunk. He hit the policeman being drunk. But he was a very interesting guy because he spent 20 years in prison by crosswords, doing crosswords. So he was doing the same in this kind of jail, but he was a very smart guy in case of crosswords. He knew all these words, but these words and crosswords, they are repeating. So he didn't know anything apart that. But it was interesting to speak about his life in prison. That was very educational for me.
We've mentioned 3 cases where Russian authorities pushed back just because you're a journalist or a civic servant.
You mean 3 cases? What? Foreign agent demonstrations and this kind of cases, or
undesirable organization?
Yeah. Well, in my case, because I am a journalist and I was a journalist, but in 2017 I decided to take part in the elections in the low level. This is a Moscow district, which is not so small because Moscow is very big. So this is district. You have 100,000 inhabitants. But this is like a local council without any power and any money. You cannot spend anything because we don't have a budget, because in Moscow it's very centralized city. Everything goes by the mayor vertical. So we can only just like suggest to the mayor to make to make a renovation in the park, but
Why do you want to be part of this?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was interested to take part in the elections in Russia because it's interesting. It was very easy to take part as an individual. You haven't. I was an independent, not entering any party. So I think that journalist cannot be a member of a party. Maybe he can be a member of parliament as an independent one, but from my point of view, you cannot be a member of a party because then you must obey the party discipline and all that stuff. So that was I should gather only, I think, I don't remember, maybe 30 signs for me to take part in the elections, to enter them. So it was easy way to take part in, but I thought that I will definitely lose because, well, in Russia, oppositioners, independent oppositioners, there is a system opposition and there is
Unsystematic.
Unsystem opposition, which never even is banned to enter because it's easy to do. They just say that all the signs which you gathered, they are all fake, and there are special experts that say this is fake sign. So you cannot do anything with that. You can go into court and bring a person who did this, who signed this, and he said this is mine sign, and they will say no. Experts say no, then no. So it was interesting to take part, but after that that was a special election which authorities decided not to look at, and the opposition or the independents won in many districts. Maybe it's mostly because no power in it, so they just neglected them. And there were many independents. For example, in our local council, there were no one from the Putin's party, only some independents and one from the Communist Party. So I tried it, but after I became this member of this district, and I don't know, 1,500 people voted for me. Well, then you're not only a journalist from this time. People voted for you. You have some responsibilities. So I took part in some protests as their man. I mean, I took part, and then there was a big protest in Moscow in 2019. Then all the leaders were arrested or detained. So we even organized the big rally, and I even was speaker. Yeah, the main speaker. I mean, that who is the anchor of the meeting of the demonstration. So this isn't my what I like, but I had to do it. So well, after that there began problems with this demonstrations law because I took part also in the demonstration which were not authorized by mayor and by police and then all stuff. There was a pretty harsh story which I told. But by the way, to the Romanian journalist also, he was very shocked. I'm not sure. Well, for Russians, it's not a shock, but there was a demonstration which was unauthorized, but the Russian police secret services have different tactics. They chose that they not to disperse the demonstration, just letting it go. And 30,000 people went through the streets in Moscow and then went homes. And then the next day, or maybe in 2 days, suddenly there was a special operation. Then 7 or 8 so-called leaders of this demonstration were simultaneously arrested in different parts of Moscow, because we have in Moscow this facial recognition cameras system, and so they put your photograph in that system, and it shows where the last camera which saw you. So I think that's why they found me. Then it was strange, but my wife, she's always at home. Actually, we had a 2 years kid. Now it's 7, but that time she was around for 2 years. That was me who often went, I don't know, to drink with friends in the evening. But that rare day that she went to her friend, I was alone with the kid. I made her sleep. After she was sleeping, I decided to go to the balcony, to the public balcony in the house, not in my flat, but in the public part of the house, of the block house, to smoke. And then suddenly, I was smoking. The 3 policemen came from the stairs and said, "Hello, you're Ilya Azar. You should come with us." I say, "But I'm alone with my kid, with my little kid at home, so I cannot do it, because I cannot take it with me, but we cannot leave her there." But they phoned somebody and said that situation, but probably that guy said, "We don't care, take him away." So, well, I decided that I could, I don't know, resist, use force, but that's after that, you will definitely get 2-3 years. If you are in political situation, you touch the policeman, it's 2 or 3 years for sure. If you are like a drunkard on the streets, just beating the policeman, it's 10 or 15 days. If you are just a drunkard, but if it's political situation, then for sure 2-3 years. So I decided to follow them, and my wife came. But still, this was a very tough situation, very stressful. And after that, I've got a fine of that big fine, like 3,000 euros. What that for that situation, for that moment.
How did you leave Russia? How did you manage to leave?
Well, it was never a problem. What do you mean by managed? There wasn't any problem to leave Russia. I mean, it's even not a problem now. I mean, they don't. It was strange. It was a funny situation a year ago. Then you mentioned it. I had a fine for discreditation of the army. I decided not to pay it because now I'm abroad. I can easily don't pay it, and nothing will change for me because I don't have any. There is a way, if you have a, for example, flat in Russia, they can, if you don't pay a fine, they will, they will take this flat from you. But I don't have any belongings in Russia, and actually never had. But they send me a message through the special app for citizens of Russia that now because of you don't paying your fine, you are banned from leaving Russia. But as that was funny because I wasn't in Russia that way, so that was funny. But if you don't have such a problem, you can easily leave. And I left Russia in the March of 2022, just like a half of the month after the start of the war, as many other journalists did. Actually, I can admit that I was sort of in a panic because many of my friends left. It was the day I left at the day then the new law about this discreditation of army and the fakes about the army was being passed in the parliament. So many of my friends journalists left and said, why are you still there? Because we don't know what the implementation of this law will be. Maybe they will arrest everybody, and definitely they will arrest you because you are has some criminal records in demonstrations and that stuff. So I decided I left with just a backpack. It was not easy to live, only in a sense that all the tickets they were unbelievably expensive because everybody started to buy them, and the flights to Europe were already cancelled. So you could only leave to Turkey or Central Asia. So all this that was 20,000 rubles, before 6 or 7 times more. But I found some cheap ticket and flown away, but I thought that I will return in a week, in 2, in 3 weeks maybe. But actually I never did it.
Well, I'm asking all these questions about Russia and your experience because, we have presidential elections in this time in Romania, and Russia is an important subject in the debates. And let me read to you during a recent presidential debate, one of the Romanian candidates said this thing: European Union funds must not go to Ukraine to anyone other than the citizens of European Union, to Romanians' children, and to solving the problems on the labor market. And our position towards Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, which has already been going for 3 years, is neutrally, not escalation, not supplying arms, but perfect alignment with the Trump administration's policy. How do you read these words?
I mean, this is quite obvious. What's the question? I mean, this is a position of many far-right politicians through all Europe.
Why do you say far-right? I didn't mention the candidate's name.
Yeah, but this is the rhetoric which is used by Alternative for Germany, by Le Pen's party in France, by everybody, by Freedom Party in Austria. Well, where all these parties, then they are not in power. They say that they may stop saying that when they're in power, but it depends. For example, I think this is also the position of Orban, but in a way, I think I'm not sure, but I think they support in a way Ukraine. I'm not sure, but the rhetoric is pretty same.
This candidate I just quoted you said that what Viktor Orban does in Hungary will become state policy in Romania. But I wanted to ask you, what does neutrality regarding the war in Ukraine mean actually? Is it just simple non-involvement?
Yeah, well, I feel that like we're in a quiz, but I'm pretty sure you know that it is regarded being neutral in Europe. In that sense, is regarded by being pro-Russian, because this is what I think with Russia wants Europe to be. I think that was the plan from the start. That well, there was a plan that Ukraine will surrender in 3 days, but after that, I think then it became obvious that it won't happen. They thought maybe that Europe will not use all. Well, it hadn't used all, but still supporting Ukraine with arms and with money. I think they thought that for many European countries, the ties with Russia, mostly the gas, oil, economic ties with Russia will be more important than supporting Ukraine. So well, they are waiting for it all this time. So they are definitely happy that more and more countries like Hungary, Slovakia, now more maybe in a week or two, Romania will join them. They are for sure happy that the quantity of European countries in this position is growing slowly, but it is growing.
I'm not putting you to a quiz. I'm just I just want to use your experience and your knowledge to better explain to our public that, as you say, neutrality actually means being pro-Russian, because there's a lot of Romanian people that listening to these kinds of politicians usually say now that we should stop supporting Ukraine because this is not our war. We should care more about our problems. And they say that even though Russia has an aggression war in Ukraine, this is not our war. And I wanted to point out what are the social consequences of this rhetoric.
Well, that's I can ask you, because you're living in a country which will face that, or hopefully not, but the it's high risk that this candidate, whom you are not naming, but this is
we're talking about George Simion,
yes,
of course.
Yes, that's for sure. As I'm here for covering the elections, I know that. I mean, I'm not that there is a thing about what is pro-Russian. I mean, is he pro-Russian in a way he likes Putin? I don't know. Maybe not, because I know, and everybody's talking here about that, and I knew it before, that, well, the Romanian nationalist, or at least a man who calls himself Romanian nationalist, I'm not sure he can be a Russia fan. I mean, you know, there is a history, and I mean, maybe not for ordinary Romanian, but for Romanian nationalists, it's strange to be like a pro-Russian, yeah. So in a way, it's not like being a pro-Russian, but being in a Russian narrative. Yes, to act maybe because this is your thoughts, or maybe because well, there's a fact that many people in Europe, they think that it's better to spend money not on Ukraine, on arms, but on ourselves. Maybe they're disillusioned with if they are poor, they think that if you don't spend money on arms to Ukraine, then they will spend it on us. Yeah, this is illusion actually, but still there are such people. So maybe this guy who is a populist, he uses that sense because he understands that if you will say that we are pro-European, we are pro-Ukraine, he will not get any votes because there are already politicians who say that. So I'm not trying to defend him. I'm just saying that maybe this is just a political thing to get more and more votes. Mm-hmm. But yes, this rhetoric is going in interests of Russia. I'm sure they are very happy with that. But I really doubted that he will. I don't know. What do you think? Will he Even Orban didn't come to the Russian 9 of May parade on the Red Square. The Vucic came, the Fico came, but Orban didn't. I wasn't following why. What did he say about that? I don't know. But will Simion do it? I'm not sure. If yes, well, this is a test. I mean, if you go to Russia to a parade, to a war parade, even though the Fico, I think, said that this is nothing to do with the modern European war, Ukraine war. This is only remembering the
Victory Day.
The Victory Day on World War II Day war. But well, come on, everybody understands that if you're going to Moscow at such a day, that this is a sign that you support. Well, not that you support Putin. I think you can say that.
Yeah.
So if, for example, if Simion was a president this year already, if he will go to Moscow, then yes, I will say that this is strange for a Romanian guy, but yes, he's completely pro-Putin if he comes there. But still, there are some leaders, around 30 leaders came to Moscow, and I think Putin is really happy. I'm not sure what did they do for convincing all these leaders to come, even from Europe. Maybe money, I don't know, maybe contracts, maybe gas, I don't know.
A theme in our presidential elections is also the unconventional, the hybrid war that's being carried by Russia in Romania. I want to ask you, maybe you know better, how does this kind of unconventional war look on a territory of other states?
Say it in other words.
What does an unconventional or hybrid war waged by Russia look like on the territory of other states?
Romania, or
in Romania, for instance. I mean, could it take the form of a TikTok campaign?
You could say it from the beginning. Yes, I understood. Well, I'm meeting here with people. Everybody's talking about that. I mean, but this is, I think, I'm not sure, but this is a Romania know-how. I mean, something special for Romania, this TikTok thing, because, for example, in I don't know, in Russia, or I don't know, I live in Latvia right now, or in Germany. Well, never I heard about even specifically TikTok campaign, which like changed the election result, and you have a guy who got like 23%, Kellen Georgescu, instead of 3 or 4 expected, just because of the 2 weeks hard heavy campaign in TikTok. That's strange, but I'm not sure that TikTok is really used so much in other countries, maybe in some, but
does it look like a Russia hybrid war?
That I ask everybody. But as I understood, maybe I'm not that into this topic, that there are no concrete, no practical proofs that was organized by Russia. But well, we live in a digital. I mean, nobody will show you a contract which is signed by, I don't know, the Russian agency and some, I don't know, Kellen Georgescu. So that must be some traces, maybe with the credit cards, payments or something like that, or meetings with some people, with another people. But all of this, well, for me as a journalist, maybe even if everybody talks that Simion in, I don't know, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, met with some guy who appeared to be a FSB, Russian Secret Services guy, but we don't know if he knew about that or if he didn't knew about it. I mean, this is not a proofs, yeah? This is like that you can say and think and maybe analyze what he is saying, and after that decide that, yes, he is definitely, if he talks pro-Russian narratives and if he met sometimes with the FSB guy, then, well, he is a pro-Russian guy. But that's what you analyze. It's not a proof, yeah? So about the TikTok campaign, I am not an investigator, and especially I'm not an investigator in Romania, so I cannot like for myself, like find some proofs. But what I see that everybody, all the journalists are pretty convinced that it is made by Russia. But there are no proofs. But it for sure could be done by Russians because, well, Russians are, for example, Moscow is a very digital advanced city, much more than, for example, Bucharest or Belgrade. So it is like 10 years ago, it was very, very advanced in that technology. So there are many people, smart guys, smart hackers, computer guys. So I mean, and many PR specialists or political technologists who now don't have any work in Russia because it's completely clear that Putin is winning, and you don't need any political analysts and all these digital people working for elections in Russia because everything is fixed just before the elections. Everybody knows how it will happen. So I mean they're us as specialists, but they don't know what to do. So I'm sure that they can take this kind of job to intervene in. Maybe they even don't call it intervene. I mean, well, that's interesting. How about making an unknown, strange guy in Romania, making him a president of Romania? Oh, this is it's a challenge.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, the challenge accepted. Yeah, I mean, maybe this is a FSB-driven operation, but FSB is pretty, as your special services, they're pretty conservative, pretty lame in a way. So it could be done just by some modern young people who did it, whatever, like a challenge. But for sure it was made for money. I mean, for you as a Romanians, you understand it like interfering into elections and all that stuff.
But let me ask you in another way. Do you know examples of countries that have been targets of such attacks?
Yeah, well, I'm not an expert on this topic, but I think you follow in the news. You heard about the U.S. said about that Russia interfered in the election. When it was in 2016, I guess. 16. It's 10 years ago. So if they did it 10 years ago, then now they're far more advanced. I mean, I think they didn't do anything serious. I mean, they didn't make a candidate, I don't know whoever was Trump, like 20% more for Trump. No, well, he didn't need that, but I'm sure they couldn't do it. But now you see they could do 20% for a guy.
But what would Putin hope to achieve by naming his own man in Romanian presidency?
I'm not sure that we can call him a Putin guy, really. I'm not sure that he is a Putin guy, but if part of the Europe, I don't.
At least we can say that he has some sympathies for Vladimir Putin.
But he didn't say that.
He said
that he likes Trump. But I mean, in a way, Trump and Putin are pretty the same.
Well,
I mean,
I'm talking about Călin Georgescu, who
Călin,
said, to my mind,
Călin,
Vladimir Putin is a patriot.
Yeah, we know. Yeah, I know that.
And George Simion said that if he's gonna be the president of Romania, he has two options. The first one is to name Călin Georgescu the prime minister, and the other one is to organize a referendum, then quit the presidency in order to
I know that.
Make it easier for Călin Georgescu to become president.
I'm sure this is a political thing to say before the elections. I'm sure. Maybe I'm not right, but I'm sure that he for sure he won't step away and make a new round of elections for Călin Georgescu. That's for sure. Maybe he will try to make him a prime minister, but I think that if he will try it once, the parliament will reject and he will propose somebody else. But we will see.
But the question still remains.
Yes.
What would Putin achieve?
We spoke about that. There is a coalition of European countries with US and I don't know, Japan, Australia, or some other Western countries who are standing with Ukraine, but you are losing one by one. the parts of this coalition. So Romania is not the least, not the least, but it's important part of this coalition because it's a neighboring country with Ukraine and Moldova, for sure. Because Russia is interested in Moldova not letting Moldova to leave the Russian zone of interest. So Romania is important. This is a war transit of arms transit to Ukraine, grain transit from Ukraine. So you know it better than me. This is a very important place. So this is the point. And many decisions in European Union, if they put apart aside the war, this is the Europe Union. Many decisions are made by consensus, not by majority of votes. So if you lose free countries, it will be free countries which have some different opinion, when there are some more and more problems for European Union. And we remember that Trump is also, that US is shaking. We don't know what Trump will say tomorrow. Maybe he will just say that we will not give any more arms to Ukraine. We don't know. Actually, with him, we don't know anything. So I think Putin likes the situation, what is happening in Europe, where the far-right politicians everywhere are getting more and more powerful. Hopefully the war will end actually this year. I hope this is starting another topic, which I think we won't discuss it now, with whether we should continue this war or we should somehow stop it using the negotiation, because we don't see any. I'm not pro-Putin, but that's the problem with this calling I don't know, Simion pro-Putin, pro-Russian. Then if I say to you that I think that you need to stop the war with the negotiations because there are no advancing on the front line, especially by Ukrainians, and still there are bombardments of peaceful Ukrainian citizens and people are dying. Children are dying in Sumy, in Kharkiv, in Kiev, in different cities. That's what's happening, and I mean, but if I say that, you can call me pro-Russian. I mean, this is in a way pro-Russian narrative, because Putin every day says that we want to stop the war. That's Ukraine who doesn't want to stop the war. But for me, I'm not pro-Russian, pro-Putin. I'm pro-Russian as a person born in Russia. I'm in a way a patriot of Russia. But I'm not a patriot of Putin. I hate the Russian government, but I like Russia, my homeland. But I'm not pro-Putin. But definitely, this war now, there is no hope that Ukraine can win. But the people are stop dying, continue to die. So how we call it? What to do? This is a hard topic.
Maybe Trump knows better.
Trump? No.
So my last question, because you're a journalist, you have an experience with Russian authorities, and I want to quote you, a Romanian politician that said to journalists this sentence.
Another quiz.
You are endangered species. I can't wait to see you gone. It's a leading Romanian politician that told the journalist this, preferring not to answer their question. What can you tell about this attitude given the context we've been talking about? When a politician tells journalists, I hope you're gone.
Well, that should we should hear. If I knew Romanian, it would be better to see how it was called in Romanian. I mean, this phrase can be translated in different ways. I mean, was it an open threat or it was like a hint?
It was more like a hint. She said, because it's about a female politician. She said, "You're endangered species."
Journalist, female journalist.
Journalists. You journalists are endangered species, and I hope you're gone. You'll soon be gone. I can't wait. I can't wait to see you gone.
Yeah, well, I met with some journalists here these days, and they are telling me that they are receiving threats from different some fake accounts, some hidden accounts, or some even open accounts. Threats of life, life to the family. And some experts also said to me that they're on some lists which are, as I understood, circulating in some social media. We had pretty the same in Russia. There are some lists there, list of foreign agents, but they are not only corresponding with that official list, but it's just called the list of Russophobes. This everybody who are saying something against Putin or pro-Ukrainian, they are called, nicknamed as Russophobes. So we have the same situation with this list. So, well, even I don't know what this guy. I suppose you are again speaking about George Simion. Am I right?
No, one of his allies.
Okay, that doesn't matter. He was, but Simion was, as I understood, was a football hooligan. So he is from that, how it's called, social strata. I don't know how it's called. So these people are used to say things like that, and maybe he thinks that this was on a camera. Yeah. He thinks that will bring him more votes of, I don't know, the men who are
hardliners of his party.
Yeah. So well, some colleagues, your colleagues, said that they are really afraid that if he wins, that there will be some cruel deeds, but we don't know actually. As we see it in Hungary, I mean, maybe I'm not so well aware, but I know that there are more problems with not beating anybody or killing journalists, mostly, but by shutting down the media, the opposition media. So I mean, in a way, I think more I can understand that this will happen. This will end with the closure of, hopefully not, but of, for example, your media, but not of like killings. I hope so. But this is the style of the far right politicians. I mean, they think that this will bring them new votes. And still, I think this is the you know that better than me. Maybe these guys with some criminal backgrounds, and this is normal for them to say something like that.
Ilya Azar, thank you very much for this talk.
Thank you for inviting.
Vă mulțumesc și dumneavoastră că ne-ați urmărit. Suntem pe YouTube, așa că trebuie să știți că orice like, orice abonare la canalul nostru ne ajută foarte mult. Eu sunt Laurențiu Ungureanu, din studio Ovidiu Popică, Adi Iacob și Cristina Lazar. Pe curând!